Good morning or afternoon, everybody. In this video, I'm going to be going over some small basics, things that we'll need to know in order to progress with this programming language. So here is the sample program that you get when you first load up the small basic web app. We see all this good stuff, text window.writeLine, we see a variable being declared, and we see another line being written. So I'm just going to recap some of this and kind of show you some new things as well. So actually on line 1 we have a comment. So we can start a comment by typing an apostrophe, and that will, the term is comment out, anything that's on that line. So if you want to make a note to yourself about what you did, or you didn't quite finish something, or you had trouble with something and you want to come back later, that's a good thing to do. Also, out in the real world, it's rare for just one programmer to program an entire thing, especially if you're working on a large project in a large company. So it's a good idea to place comments in certain areas of the code so people or other programmers will know what you did, and what needs to be done. So that's a comment. I want to talk for a second about the writeLine operation. Oh yeah, and that word I just used, the word operation. So that determines what exactly is going to happen, basically. We have the text window object being called up. We have the writeLine operation. And then inside quotes here, we see text. What is your name? Now, this text must always be within both parentheses and, perhaps even more importantly, quotes. So whatever is in quotation marks is going to appear exactly as it is when the text window is displayed. So that's important to know. So the next line we have here is a variable being declared. Okay, this is from last week. This is from our first activity. Name equals text window.read. So this is the name of the variable. We can call it anything. Then it's going to equal whatever the user types in. So when we say text window.read, we are taking whatever the user types in inside the text window and declaring that as the variable. So if someone types in Kimmy, the name equals Kimmy. And so when we use that variable down here, the word or name Kimmy is going to appear in this line. Another thing we can do, going back to the operations, we can use the write operation. So you know what, before I do that, I'm just going to undo this and let's just see what this looks like again. Okay, remember what this looks like. Right? Now I'm going to change that to write. So write is another operation and it behaves a little bit differently. Notice how the name did not go down to the next line. When you say writeLine, you're starting whatever you're doing on a new line. When I say text window.write, it just continues from where the last text left off. So that's the difference between write and writeLine. WriteLine means you're starting a new, guess what? Line. So how about this line down here? Hello plus name plus exclamation point. What we see here with the plus signs is called a concatenation. When you concatenate something, you join this text with this variable with this text again. In fact, a term for text in Small Basic and other programming languages is called a string. So we have a string of text. In fact, anything that goes inside these quotes can be a string. Numbers, an exclamation point, this is considered a string. So what we're doing here is we're joining a string with a variable with another string that we enter in ourselves. So what we did here, or what really the program did by itself because it came this way, is it made a concatenation of these two things. So concatenate, it's a fancy word. Just take a look at this cat right here, concatenate. say the word concatenate to yourself every time this picture zooms in, and I guarantee you'll remember. Okay, so here we go. Yep, remembering it now? I think you are. I think you are. Okay, that was a nice exercise. Surely you remember the word concatenate now. So last class, when we worked with numbers, we declared a number instead of a line of text as a variable. So, I'll just say, give me a number. We can say num1, because I'll ask for a second, equals, is going to be text window.writeLine. It's going to be text window.read, because we're reading what the user types in and then declaring that as our variable. And then we can copy and paste this line. We'll say, give me another number, num2, and surely you know what this is going to be, right? Why waste time typing the same thing again? num2 equals text window.read. Okay, so right now, we're storing integers. Integer is basically a number. Specifically a whole number. Let's take a look at a couple of other pieces of code here. Changing the text color. So if we type in text window.foreground color, when it pops up here you can just press enter and it fills it in for you, which is handy. Foreground color equals red. Now when we establish the foreground color, we have to type the color in quotes. That's important to do. And we can see that it's red. Okay, and I can change that to blue, although it's kind of dark, so I'll change it to light blue, which is cyan. But what if we wanted to change the background color? We would go over to here, and we can just replace the for in foreground with the back for background. So text window.background color equals red. I run this, and the entire background is that color. And so that is how that is done. Now to recap all this wonderful information. Anything inside quotes here is known as a string. So any text that we type out basically can be a string. We can have numbers in here, we can have letters, any kind of characters would be a string. Integers are whole numbers. We can set them ourselves. We can ask the user to declare them as variables. And variables are, of course, are anything that can change in the program. We can change the color of the text by using the foreground color code. We can change the background color by using the background color code. And yes, there is a G in it. There is a G in background. Whoops. We can undo our mistakes by holding Control and pressing Z, Control Z, which I did not mention before in this video. We can comment out a program by typing in an apostrophe, and anything after that on that line will be a comment. We comment codes so other programmers know what we're doing, and so we remember what we're doing, so it's clear that what the purpose of that line of code is. So that is it for this video. We will be continuing to build off of these codes with more codes in the future that will allow us to create bigger and better programs. And if you don't remember any of this stuff, then he is going to be very upset with you. So please don't let that happen. Pay close attention.